Hello everyone, Zden here, and today I want to talk about a topic that's been on my mind for maybe the last 2 or 3 years, maybe even more, which is my knowledge of Russian. As most of you should know, Russian is one of my 2 native languages, the other one being Chechen, of course. And somehow in the last 3 or so years, it's been getting worse and worse. It gets worse very slowly, but it got to a point like a couple years ago where I started to notice that I'm having trouble speaking my own language sometimes, which is so strange, but on the other hand, I can kind of understand why it got to this point because personally, I use English most of the time. Like if I'm alone and I just think out loud, I always speak English. Even in some of the videos of me doing blindfolded solves, you can see that when I'm just making comments to myself, I'm speaking English. I can't really put my finger on why I started to do that. I guess it just became more convenient from some point. So basically, yeah, I got very used to English and I started using Russian only when talking to other people. But of course, still, most of my conversations in a day are in Russian because I live in Moscow. And I speak to my parents in Russian and all of my friends, except for some of my friends from the internet. So I would think that Russian would be the language I'm most proficient at. But somehow, as I said before, it's been getting worse. And especially in the last year or so, it's gotten to a point where even my friends are starting to notice it and they're making fun of how I speak Russian. And some of you that know me in real life would definitely know about that. And it's not always some complicated word. Sometimes it's a very simple word that I just cannot remember for whatever reason. And I can remember the English translation. Sometimes I can even remember the Japanese translation, but I just cannot for the life of me remember the Russian translation of the word. I remember even forgetting the Russian word for pen, and I had to say some weird phrase like, "Can you give me something to write with?" Because I couldn't remember the word pen. And I find that very unfortunate because, well, I like learning languages in general, and it just feels very frustrating that I am getting worse at one of my native languages. And something that I haven't mentioned before is that I'll be going to the UK to study in September. Well, I just need to get a visa, but I'm already enrolled into the university. I just need to sort out some paperwork. But basically, I'll go there in September and I'll be staying there for about 4 years. Of course, I'll come back to Moscow very often, but still, I'll be there for a long time. And I keep thinking about how bad my Russian might become when I finish studying there. When this just started happening when I was a little younger, I remember thinking like, oh my God, my English is so good that now even my Russian is getting worse. But now it's gotten to a point where I'm honestly concerned for my knowledge of Russian because I don't want to forget a language that I spoke for the majority of my life. Some of you might have seen my video with Steve Kaufman where we had a conversation in Russian, English, and Japanese. And I remember rewatching that and thinking how unnatural my Russian sounds. Granted, later I realized that that was mostly because I was speaking to a foreigner, so I was subconsciously speaking in a different manner. But still, it was kind of weird. And I've had a couple people from Russia tell me at some point that my Russian sounds kind of off. Like not my pronunciation because, well, I don't think I have an accent at all when I speak Russian, but just my manner of speech is kind of odd. I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's not anything like very noticeable. I'm sure 99% of people wouldn't notice anything wrong with my Russian, but when I speak with people for a while, like my friends, they start noticing that it's kind of strange and I just keep forgetting words or making sentences in a weird way. But yeah, in any case, I hope that I never get to a point where I have to actually start working on my Russian to get it back to its original level. I just realized that this video doesn't really have a point. I've just rambled about my Russian getting worse. I don't know, it's just something that's been bugging me recently and I felt like making a video about it. In any case, thanks for watching this video. I'm sorry that I haven't made many videos recently. I've been kind of lazy in 2018. I think most of that is because I keep studying Japanese or practicing 3x3 blindfolded. I actually have an upcoming competition in Europe, which is the European Championship, and I'm hoping that I can get into finals and maybe even podium, but who knows? We'll see. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you later. Goodbye.